That's right, I got mail. Today I received a small packet, once again from the UK through Royal Mail, from the Dice Shop online. This time the package came through unscathed. You can see a complete lack of scathing, right? Which is nice. So I've been kind of in a dice mood of late. Recently I got the dice from the Triple Ace Games Kickstarter. These are, well, multi-purpose dice, just to make sure I have the right kind of things for a couple of different games I'm experimenting with. So let's take a look inside. There isn't any need to use the X-Acto knife on these. Okay. So once again, we have our dear customer thank you message, the warning about 3-year-olds and the like. Okay, so this time everything has come wrapped up in, or almost everything has come wrapped up in Ziploc bags. Okay, I'm kind of curious why this one was not in a Ziploc bag. Is there a hole? There's no hole. Nothing is open. That's just the way it is. This one is a loner. All right, what did I order? From where you are sitting, you can't see much of anything. So we'll have to take care of that. Now, let's see if I can move the camera without causing nausea. Okay, there we go. Now, I'm not sure at all how well these dice are going to translate to video. Now, these ones are called universal dice. They're a black die with a gold or bronze numbering color, and they have deeply embedded in them a little bit of glitter, a suggestion of like stars in the distance. It's not painted on the surface. Well, it is painted on the surface, but it doesn't look like white dots painted on the surface. They actually, reflect light and glitter. We'll see that in a minute when I take that out of the bag. And then we have these dice, and we have these dice in different formats. We have orange, and we have yellow,
a little green,
and we have blue. Okay. Now these dice are called Oblivion dice. So we've got the Oblivion in orange, the Oblivion in yellow, and the Oblivion in blue for various purposes. Let's do a quick close survey of each of the dice. Now with these dice, what I'm attempting to do is get the right kind of distance and focus so that you can see the understated but definitely observable glitter is the only word I have for it, glitter or twinkle. Right? Really looks like stars in the night sky, and as you move around, different highlights appear, some brighter than others, and it's very uniform and it's on all the dice. But once again, we're seeing a difference in what the eye can detect and what the camera will record. But that face, that one face on the D10 there, that I think will probably be our best representation, or maybe the 2 on the D20 just behind it. All right, so this type of die is called Universe. It only comes in this color, as far as I know, and I think it's obvious why. And the other type of dice that I got in this order, as I mentioned earlier, were called Oblivion. I got them in several different colors. We've got yellow and orange, green, and blue. I only mention the colors because there have been people in the past who have tried to tell me that the color I'm describing is not the color the thing is because of the quality of YouTube's presentation of the video. And while I find that amusing, I don't want you to be distracted by it. So let's look at each set of dice individually and take a look at some individual dice. Ordering from the dice shop, I haven't had any of those quality control issues like bad paint jobs on the numerals, that sort of thing. The dice have been consistently of a good quality. Over the different orders, I have had the wrong dice shipped, and in this order there's an oddity, and I'm not certain if it's by design or by accident, but we'll get to that when we get to that. So just taking one of the 6 D20s that I ordered, I'd again like to be able to show the glitter. I don't think it's really coming across in this light, but and glitter really isn't the word that I want to use. But anyway, as you go through, you can see that the numbers are in gold and are quite obvious on the faces, and these are standard size dice. All right, the D6s seem a little on the large side to me, which is good because it gives them a closer match to the D20, which I appreciate. And if you go through all the different faces, right, we see a good quality product. Okay, and let's do a percentile roll, and we get a 40. How nice. Okay, so this is Universe. One last detail about the Universe set for those who care. The D4 is the type where the 4 is read from the top, or the number is read from the top. The blue Oblivion I only got in D12s, and I did that for a game called Broken Rooms, which uses the momentum system, which is proprietary to that company, which is Greymalkin Games. And in it, you would roll a pool of a varied number of D12s, somewhere between 2 and 5, generally. So I got 5 of them. You can see that each of the D12s is different in the distribution of the material, the blue material and the black material. You have different types of swirling and different densities of the blue. I think of these as basically black dice with other colors involved. It could be the opposite, of course. So this particular one has a lot of black, and this one has a lot less, right? So they're obviously matched, yet each die is different, which may be useful in some games. You can see that the numbering is gold. It's of a medium size on the face. All right. The next is another incomplete set. The Oblivion in green, I got only percentile dice and 1 D20. And I did this for things like advantage and disadvantage mechanics in games, and the 2D20 system and whatnot, just getting together a bunch of interesting looking D20s for different purposes. So we see that on the green die there's very little actual green, and what there is pretty interesting looking, very mysterious and swirling like mist, compared to the percent, the tens digit die, which has an awful lot of the green material all together here at this peak, and almost none on the other side. Right, there's just a hint of green around the 80. Right, this is a very interesting die. I find it very visually appealing. I like the different densities or intensities of the green throughout the die. The actual tens die has these wicked tendrils or swirls, and I also like that. So as a matched set, this set of percentile dice is fantastic. As a D20, it'd be pretty easy to miss, especially in low light, which particular set this was matched to. It might just look like a normal black D20. All right, now full sets. We'll go with the yellow first. So, when I order a set, I sometimes order multiple D4s. I didn't this time. And I didn't order multiple D20s because I have, things like this. But I did get my standard, as I mentioned earlier, 6d6 for no practical reason I can fathom. But it is a good look at the variance throughout the set of this material. And so that even if you ordered a bunch of dice in this same color, this yellow Oblivion, you give a pretty reasonable expectation that no two dice would be the same. However, there are similarities that start to appear. You notice that these D6s have on the one face, they clearly show a location where this yellow material has, I don't know, pooled as the die was set. And we can see something similar here, but on a slightly different face. This one is all full of swirls, but still there's very intense corner. This one has a very, very yellow face, right? But I think you can see the effect I'm talking about. So they're obviously a match set, yet each die is different. And the D8, which is a duller color yellow, and the D4, which again is more like that mysterious swirl, right, that we've seen in the other colors. And you'll note that this D4 is read from the bottom. For the D10 and percent, it's a very active looking set, right? But, when I say but, look at that. That I think I might classify as an error. You know, if we take this as the standard of what the set should look like, right, some variation on this, then that just doesn't quite look right, and it doesn't match the other D%. There's a little bit of similarity in the fact of an intense section of color, but having a whole face blotted in that way, it strikes me as something that maybe quality control should have taken out. But as it's on the 100 face, I don't mind. We also have a D3, right? And it's read from the top, and this is, let's see if I can really show off the shape of the D3, right? So it has concave faces, right? So that's kind of interesting as well. And that would work equally well in color with the greens or the yellows. But each one has one. All right, the next and final set in this group is the orange. And I see that the yellow D12 was lurking in with the oranges. So let's take a look at that. And you note that it's mostly black. Right, you'll find its most yellow face, which has an almost green cast to it here. Right? But when you put it with the other yellows, you can see. All right, so now the orange online in the photographic representation of the set, they looked most like this die, and I thought that would be pretty striking. So this was the set that I was most excited about. The reality is very few of the dice actually have that intensity, right? Just those three, maybe you could count 4 of them. The rest are mostly black, and in some cases, like in the D3 and in this D8, it has taken on an almost brown color. You can see that very clearly on this face of this D6. Right? So there are different depths at which the colored material sits, I think, and different densities of it or intensities of it. So this D4 just has the suggestion of the orange, while some of these D6s are, intensely, vibrantly swirling orange, like with this yellow and this blue. So, like I said before, obviously from a matched set, each set will be unique. So you could have everybody around the table using, Oblivion dice of the same color and not really confuse them once you got to be familiar with them. Or if you're rolling a bunch of similar dice, like a bunch of D6s, should it be important to you, you'd be able to distinguish them easily. And that's it. If you are interested in these sets, or if you have yet to order new dice from the dice shop online, this is the level of quality, and this is the type of die that you can expect. I hope it's helpful. I almost forgot. I promised you a mystery or perhaps a quality control issue, so there's an addendum to this video. All right, so if we take a look at this D10 and its percent configuration, if you look carefully, you'll note that it's numbered in silver. And this D4 likewise is numbered in silver, whereas the rest of the set is in gold, like all the other representatives of Oblivion that we have here, and like the universe set. Right? So they're all gold, except for these 2 dice. I don't know why that would be, but it's interesting. Now, because, like I said, right, this is part of a set. It's a little weird. Doesn't bother me that much. But one wonders why it happened at all.